how can I make sustainability sound sensible rather than a responsibility that we need to take up as a burden, right? It shouldn't feel like we are cleaning up after someone else's mess. It should just feel like cleaning up is a good thing to do. You need to take it light. You need to take it slow. You need to treat it the way you treat habits like going to gym or starting a reading habit. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a slow thing, and do it your way. So maintaining that boundary is very important, because if you want to inspire someone, let them be inspired out of genuine curiosity by watching you. I think one major change that really happened with my family was, if there was any doubt, they felt that, oh, we need to do this for the society. How will people look at us, or what will they say? Those kind of thought processes eventually stopped, because that is something that really makes us live unsustainably the most. When we buy things out of ego rather than out of need, and we are worried how will people look at us if we stand true to our values, or stand our ground.
Welcome to GoGreenGuru Sustainability in Action, where we bring to you stories of hope, perspectives, and actionable insights through conversations with people who, in their own ways, are working towards a sustainable world. In this inaugural episode, we talk about building green habits that last and going on a zero waste journey in a way that actually works for you. We have with us today Mrudula Joshi, fashion designer turned zero waste guide and entrepreneur, founder of Ullisu.com and Bangalore partner at Wasted360. Mrudula is the force behind Ullisu.official, an Instagram page, which is an authentic and relatable journal of someone attempting to go on a zero waste journey. I've been following her work for a while now, and trust me, she really understands the challenges we face on this journey. Because let's face it, we often know about all these eco-friendly tips such as say no to disposable cups and plates, all of that, but what holds us back? More often than not, it's a fear of being judged and ridiculed. And even if we do practice some of these green habits, there's often this voice in our head, that guilt, that we're not doing enough, we're not doing it perfectly. What if we could adopt a zero waste life joyfully? If this resonates with you, then do tune into this episode and stick around till the end for your journaling prompts and actionable challenges, so you can be empowered to take that next step on your own journey. Hello Mrudula, a warm welcome to our show. I'm so excited to have you here today. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for inviting me. Lovely to be here.
Awesome. So to start off, I want to know, what does sustainability mean to you? So what got you on this journey towards a low waste lifestyle? What were the series of things that happened that made you think in this way? How did it all happen?
Yeah. So, this was right after graduation when, I first was got a taste of living independently, and I was on my own in Mumbai,
You
and
graduated from NIFT, right? Yeah.
yeah, and I
Mm.
was working full time in Mumbai that time, and because I was trying to sort of figure out what kind of lifestyle I would like to live as an adult, and what kind of habits I would like to have. During that time, I was also very into the idea of minimalism. I was following a few podcasts that were talking about minimalism. That also overlapped. If you are watching YouTube, it tends to start recommending things adjacent to the topics you're also interested in. So zero waste topics would also come up while I'm like curiously binging all this information. So I saw like TED Talks of people who would like go a year without buying anything brand new and telling benefits about it. How they would it was beneficial for them financially as well as mentally. So then I was like, okay, this is something that I would like to push myself to build a habit of how to be more fiscally responsible with what I buy and what I consume. And as I started doing that, even it was pretty low waste as well. And then I tried, okay, maybe we can go zero waste as well. And I tried changing a few habits to minimize waste altogether. um, and in that process, I think sustainability just made sense. It wasn't something that came from a very emotional place, or I did things very suddenly, but it just organically fit into the kind of lifestyle I wanted to live. And that's basically how I ended up taking a lot of interest in sustainability, because for me it made sense to live that way. So yeah, that's the first way I actually got into it. And once I got into it, I got very interested in a lot of other things related to sustainability, and then it was just a snowball rolling from there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful to hear. So basically, over a period of time, you just exposed yourself to that kind of content as well over a long period of
Yeah, yeah.
time. That led your
Yes.
mindset to shift in a certain way.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think media consumption was a very huge
Hmm.
role in the way I started thinking about it. If I was
Hmm.
consuming any different type of media and I was just distracted, and this wouldn't have popped up, I don't think it would have ever occurred to me. So what I was scrolling, what I was binging, what I was watching, listening to, that was a huge factor in all of this.
Awesome. So how did that transition into you becoming a content creator and then an entrepreneur and also in a way an educator as well? So take on so many roles now. How did all this happen? How did Ullisu happen? What's the story?
So, what happened was, because I was trying to develop new habits, and as you know, that's extremely difficult. And I didn't trust myself to be able to pull off something like, oh, let me make my house go zero waste, or let me, you know, um, quit shopping. And these are very huge commitments. It's like your brain can't even process it usually. Um, so I thought, okay, I need to put this out publicly so that I have the pressure on me to follow through if there are 10 people watching and I'm at the risk of being made fun of if I don't follow through. At that point, I had already uh, sort of decided this is what I want to do. And I started making posts with the small changes in my lifestyle I was making. Um, and that led to other people discovering that they could try that as well, or they were inspired to do it as well. And the numbers were very small in the beginning. It was just me and maybe a bunch of others online who were also excited by the idea of the zero waste experiment, and they were trying it. And I was still working full time at that time. And it gave me a nice sense of fulfillment that, okay, my efforts are not just efforts that I'm keeping to myself, but, watching those efforts is also helping someone else. And that's how the content creation part started, to be honest. And I was not very serious about it until like 2019, when I thought, okay, if we double down on this, um, probably this is going to be more productive, or this can build a community that can actually be quite beneficial, or like contribute in a better way. um, and at that point, the content creation also, with for me, the goal was, a lot of the language related to sustainability was very fear based. It was very, oh, humanity is so sad, humans are a virus, or doomsday, or constantly crying about what's happening with the news. And it was very the action based tips also that people were giving were coming from a place of fear, like, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. So I didn't like that kind of an approach towards content that was selling sustainability in such a sad way, to be honest. And most people were not attracted to that kind of messaging. um, there are some people who are motivated out of fear, but there is a limited number of people who will be motivated out of fear. After a point, most people will dismiss that, and they'll be like, okay, I don't have the emotional bandwidth to care about this, and I'm not even going to engage with such content. So it was very limited as a crowd. So my objective with content creation always was, how can I make this message more accessible, easy to consume, even for someone who might not be interested in sustainability, even for someone who might not care about the environment, but then might agree with the habits, because the habits are still sensible, irrespective of whether we are talking about the environment. Saving money is still sustainable. Being smart with your shopping choices is still a good habit. So all of these habits are something I really wanted to, throw light on. And that's why that has been sort of my objective with content creation. How can I make sustainability sound sensible rather than a responsibility that we need to take up as a burden, right? It shouldn't feel like we are cleaning up after someone else's mess. It should just feel like cleaning up is a good thing to do, you know. So that was how I started with that. And because I was promoting a sustainable lifestyle, obviously there were products involved, and I was promoting those products, and I was promoting brands, and a lot of these brands couldn't afford influencers. So the objective was, okay, now that I know so many alternatives that I have started using in my own life, how can I support these small brands? And one route would have been I go like an influencer and like demand money for the content per content made. Most of these brands couldn't afford that. Most of lot of brands I wanted to promote, they couldn't sort I couldn't sustain on such an income. And I thought maybe the sensible thing to do is start a marketplace and just encourage these brands who are already doing a good job. Because otherwise as an influencer, I would get stuck promoting polluting brands who are selling like greenwashed products, and those are the only ones who have the money for influencer marketing. So it didn't make sense to me for like to go the influencer route. After that, I decided I need to go the entrepreneur route because that has more impact and that has more like uh, reach, I think, in where you can actually see the results. A lot of times when as an influencer you're making content and you get a lot of views or you get a lot of engagement, there's a false sense of impact created, whereas people have just watched it and you don't know if they've actually worked on it. Whereas as an entrepreneur, you start an initiative, you start a project, and you know how many people exactly have been impacted by how many people have approached and used your service. So for me, it was like I needed to know that I'm making an impact. I just didn't want the faff and the fluff of, on being a content creator. So I still love making content, but I'm using it for the entrepreneur, endeavor of, Ullisu.com or even Wasted360 and all of that. Educating and everything came naturally into a part of it because, people started inviting me to talk about circularity, to talk about zero waste. And then I decided, okay, I'll prepare a presentation. And now that has turned into like a 1 hour workshop, which I give to corporates as well as, any event space or anywhere where they invite us for a workshop. And I've designed it in such a way that it doesn't feel like this is a responsibility. I've designed it in a way that this is a skill that you can learn and anyone can try and think zero waste and start becoming a problem solver on their own. So that became like a very natural part of what I'm doing. And I really enjoy doing those workshops because every workshop, there's at least 3 to 4 people. You can see the bulb going in their head and, you know that, they're going to start thinking differently now. So I really love doing those things because that's a very hands-on experience of, okay, I changed a few minds today and, you feel like you had a good productive day after that. And Wasted360, I ended up joining them as a, part of Bangalore partner because I was the user of their services. They're a waste aggregation service and a thrift shop. And one of the commitments I made while trying to live sustainably is that I will buy only secondhand. So wherever possible, when I find a thrift store online or offline, I try and opt for secondhand as much as possible. So Wasted360 was perfect because not only were they taking dry waste drop-offs, but when you go drop off, there's also a thrift store over there. So that's a huge part of your, life as a zero waste person being sorted by just one organization and one place. So I started doing that, started using their services. And once, their team wasn't fully formed in Bangalore, so they were struggling a little bit in Bangalore. So that's when I chipped in and I was like, I'll help you guys and I'll help run the Bangalore center. And I ended up taking up the responsibility for Bangalore center completely. And that's how I ended up working with Wasted360 and I was running Ullisu. And I'm supposed to be doing content creation as well, but that's ended up taking a backseat right now. But yeah, we've been figuring out how to manage that. Um, and yeah, hopefully, like it all ties together because Ullisu is also promoting zero waste brands. And that also came under the umbrella of the thrift store and, discovering sustainable solutions and products. So that's how Ullisu and Wasted360 kind of, came together. Um, and it became like a one-stop shop to discover all sustainable services, and became like a circular economy hub, which we wanted it to be. So it just made sense that we kind of merge these two, visions together and, make it work. So yeah, that's how I've ended up doing everything. Um, and yeah, in between, I think I tried organizing some zero retreats, and, once a year or so, I try to organize like a trip travel itinerary thing so that people can join. It's an excuse for me also to go on a trip, but so, but it's also a way I try to promote the idea that you can travel, you can enjoy your life while also living sustainably. It doesn't have to be some deprived thing, and basically show the joy of living sustainably. So that's the objective with the zero waste retreats as well.
So how do we really build these green habits? Like, how was your own journey in building habits, and how do you help people starting off, or even those who started and want to sustain it? What are your tips for that?
I think one big thing when people DM me and ask for these tips is also most of my advice has been around helping them calm down on the pressure they're putting on themselves to be perfect at it. Once you can I mean, in the beginning, it can really piss you off when you're not good at it, or when you watch someone else not being good at it. Because when you are also being too perfect in the beginning, you are also under a lot of pressure. You feel you're doing it out of, a sense of this is going to help the planet. And then you watch news, then it's clearly not helping the planet because your actions are not directly translating to what's happening in the world. There tends to be a lot of frustration, and that frustration can come out, on strangers or your family members or your friends who are obviously not practicing those habits. There is a sense of I need to spread the word on this thing. Everyone around me also needs to do this, otherwise what I'm doing is useless, you know so there's this very common thing that I get is people who are not just trying to build the habits, but they're also forcing those habits on the people around them. And I try to say, don't even think about that. Trying to spread the word on this is a full-time job. And if you're not mentally ready for it, you have no obligation to spread the word on, these habits. Your job right now is just to think about whether you can handle these habits, and do it in a sustainable way. If you feel something is extreme and you can't keep up with it forever, don't start it. Start a small version of it. Start a moderated version of it. Draw your own boundaries in your head. A lot of people feel classic example is especially food habits are very difficult. People can't even imagine going plant-based because they've been eating a certain way all their life. And, it's either all or nothing in their head, because the moderation version is also shamed by a lot of people who are doing it perfectly. So I feel that, you are not obligated to explain your boundaries to anyone. Set your own boundaries, but start. At least start. Don't dismiss that you can't do any of it. So that is like a huge tip that I give people, that, you know, test yourself for 30 days, test yourself for a week, just watch your waste for 30 days and just clean your waste maybe for a week and see what kind of waste you collect. And once you actually see what's happening, you will feel like working on it. You will feel like, okay, this is what I learned about what I consume and how often I consume. But don't make like long-term commitments, because those become a huge pressure on you, and the moment you're not able to keep up with it, you'll hate yourself and you'll just give up on the idea of ever trying again. You need to take it light, you need to take it slow, you need to treat it the way you treat habits like going to gym, or starting a reading habit. It's not going to happen overnight. It's a slow thing, and do it your way, in the way that works for you, for your mental health. Especially, not everyone has the same kind of mental bandwidth and capacity to you know just develop habits quickly. So do what how know yourself well enough so that you know how what will work for you. That would be my advice when it comes to starting green habits. Like, try small challenges and then build on it. If you enjoy it, then continue doing it. If you don't enjoy it, see why you didn't enjoy it, and about that.
Mm. Yeah, I'm curious to know what were the first few habits which you built? Like, how did you do that?
So in order to quit shopping, I had a retail shopping addiction, even though I thought at that time I didn't consider myself to be a shopper as such. But even my regular, normal, average amount of shopping was a lot compared to what it is now. So, in order to sort of quit shopping, I took up a 10 on 10 challenge, which was you just pick 10 items out of your wardrobe, which can be mixed and matched easily. And this includes accessories also, like shoes and, those things. And you just use those 10 items for 10 days and style yourself for 10 days. And you don't wear anything else. And that kind of kickstarted like a creative process in my head on how to figure out styling, what kind of items are more multi-purpose. So, those are the kind of clothes I should wear or buy if I ever invest in more clothes. How much limited my thoughts were in terms of how clothes can be used. It opened up a whole Pandora's box, and then I realized I actually don't need to shop at all. If I can manage in for 10 days in just 10 items, then 50 items in a wardrobe is more than enough, you know and then after that, I don't think I even felt the urge to shop. Then I was just interested in how can I restyle, how can I mix the things I already have. Then I went into another kind of excitement. Instead of shopping excitement, now it was how can I make do with what I have. So it's not that I felt deprived or, oh my god, bichari, I don't shop anymore. You should let yourself enjoy. Others used to tell this to me, but I was enjoying in my own way. But it was a different type of enjoyment now. That's all. So, these kind of small things really helped me kick some old habits which didn't serve me anyway. And drastically reduces the carbon footprint also, like just from buying brand new items and how much impact fast fashion industry creates. Now I'm just making do with what I have, and that's a happy sustainable habit as well. So zero carbon footprint over there. So these kind of things are something I picked up. Other things were a bit harder, like quitting junk food or quitting biscuits or chips just because they came in plastic. I think I did it perfectly for a year or so, but then after that I sort of slipped on that, and I was like, maybe this is not as sustainable as a habit in my head. Maybe this is not something I can keep up with. Because in I always say, in addition to wanting to do something just for sustainability, you also need a reason to do it only for yourself. You need another selfish reason to do it, either for health reasons or for something else that you feel is personal to you and helps you. And with junk food and food, usually I haven't been such a health freak that I felt like going perfect with my diet and making only home cooked meals all the time. I've always been a little lazy on that front. So those habits were something I wasn't able to pick up and maintain for a very long time. But something like shopping, that stuck. Even today, just by default, I just never think about shopping brand new. And if I find myself also adding something to cart, I also have the habit of deleting everything and just removing that again. So so these things have kind of stuck around. So I would say in the beginning it was a bit of a, like, you have to be a little bit dictatorial on yourself, like be a little strict, because obviously you're breaking a lot of old habits. But after that, you will know which ones stick around naturally and which ones don't, and then you just organically let it continue.
The 10 on 10 challenge sounds fun. That must have
Yeah.
given a fun challenge to your fashion designer, Aura, and your
Yeah,
creative
for
side.
sure. There were some drawbacks though, like as Indians, when you have like kurtis and those kind of things, those cannot be styled in too many ways. There's just a few ways you can do that, but like Western clothes, it's much easier to style. So even though the inspiration was some European pages who were, offering this 10 by 10 challenge, I realized in like Indian wardrobe, it's a little more tricky. Maybe we don't need 10. Maybe you can try like a 15 by 15 challenge, and that's easier.
And these kind of challenges, it shows that, okay, if you actually adopt a fun approach to things, fun approach to sustainability, like with that experimentation, okay, let me try something new, let me see how I can solve this, keeping that approach, I think that really helps. And that's what you've been advocating as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I think you conduct these workshops on design thinking or designing a zero waste life. So what approach do you take for that? How does that work?
So we do a brainstorming session on understanding what is circular design. Basically, in a world where every item around you has been designed to be disposable, how can you think of an alternative of the same product that serves the same purpose, but it doesn't need to be thrown away at the end of the use, right? So I start showing by current examples. Like, there's a lot of examples already. Batteries versus rechargeable gadgets, those kind of things, disposable razor versus reusable razor, disposable sanitary pad versus menstrual cup, so these are some differences of products designed to be disposed versus product designed to be reused. And I give that thought process to people, that now look around every item in your house or in your workplace, or the things you use in your day-to-day life. Go back and think from the first thing you use, the toothbrush, all of that. What is something about that product that you end up throwing away, and how do you think that can be designed better? And this is a very open-minded brainstorming session. I don't tell them they need to do this at the end of it, or they need to make the switch to this, but they need to start thinking in this way. They need to start thinking, okay, I'm using some item and it will go somewhere at the end of it. It's not a black hole that we are putting it into. It goes to dump yards, it goes to landfills, it's sitting there forever, it's creating mass land wastage, it's creating bad working environments for waste pickers, it's getting burnt, contributing to climate change, all of that. So for us to even start working on those issues, we need to start at home, and we need to see what are the products we are using that end up being thrown away to begin with. So that brainstorming session opens up their mind to thinking about products in a way that basically they start thinking like a reuse um, mindset, right? So how can I find something? So when they're buying or shopping for something, instead of buying something disposable, that thought might come up in their head, hey, instead of buying this, let me try to buy something reusable, because now I've started looking at everything around me in that way. So that is basically like a mindset shift exercise that I try to generate. And that helps to a large extent. After that, I have people reaching out to me and asking in DMs, oh, what about this? What about that? How can I help this? How can I help with that? And in no part of that presentation, I tell people to change their habits. I just tell, if you do this instead of this, there is no waste, and then I give real live examples of those solutions being applied, so that they know that they're not crazy, or they're not the only person if they want to do it. Because a huge function of not wanting to live sustainably is, nobody around me is doing this, so why should I? So it is very important you show people examples of it actually happening already successfully. And then people will be convinced that, hey, if others are doing, then I don't think it's, that difficult. I think it can be done. So yeah, that's how I make it work.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. The way we approach things really matters, keeping that mindset. It's all about that, right? And yeah, that's another thing which you highlighted on. Maybe we often feel lonely on this journey. We feel frustrated. Okay, no one is doing this. So how do you build that sense of community, or that sense of feeling safe, or connected, accepted, all of that? How do you build that?
I think I'm very realistic about it, that you will feel lonely, and you will feel the need to convert others around you, but you need to draw strict boundaries to make sure that you're first able to follow these habits yourself, or you're first able to do these things yourself. So don't waste your energy on requesting other people to change along with you. This is a very natural progression that will happen on its own over the years. If someone wants to change, they'll come to you out of curiosity and learn from you. Otherwise, it's important that you look for that community online, or you join events where other like-minded people like you may appear. And that's very important. That is also why I started zero waste meetups, and I started creating these WhatsApp groups across cities. Started conducting zero waste meetups, where people who want to live sustainably or think more sustainably can find others also who think the same way. And a lot of interesting things have ended up happening because of that. People have ended up collaborating with each other. People have found friends via these groups. I know during my early stages, I used to attend Zero Waste Mumbai groups. And, many of them are like really good friends of mine now. And I know when I have to be like frustrated or talk about something related to this, and I feel lonely in that journey, at least those are the people who kind of get it. And Instagram has been like a huge community for a lot of people as well. But I would recommend to find this community in the beginning as a beginner. But I also recommend to get out of it once you have enough support and your habits are set and you feel your lifestyle is on autopilot now. Because sometimes you tend to get lost in the algorithm of like a bubble of that mindset of, oh, we are living sustainably. Why can't everyone live sustainably? This is so easy. But sometimes you need to step out of that bubble and see why people are not living sustainably so easily as well. And learn that with a sense of humility and, understanding rather than anger, or, shame them for it, or, anything like that. But yeah, I mean, you have to like sort of then learn to balance. Okay, there will be days where, you need your sustainable support groups, and there will be days where it's okay and you can let it go and, enjoy with the rest of the community as well. I think some people tend to really isolate. um, I've had people sometimes tell me in DMs that they're so frustrated with people being wasteful that they don't even go to parties or birthday parties anymore. And I'm like, that is extreme. Hello. You need to integrate with the rest of the world. Otherwise, your ideas will not spread. And if you think you are too good because of your ideology, then your ideology will literally not be exposed to anyone else in your life ever. So, we have to take this with like a grain of salt that, change is very slow, and it's okay that others may not understand where you come from. But whatever happens, you shouldn't let that environment stop you from living the way you want to live. I think when people see that you are happy and you're joyful in your new resolutions and, your new way of life, that is a much better way to spread the idea than being frustrated that why aren't they following it all the time. Then they'll just see that, okay, if they change their lifestyle, they'll also become this frustrated person, and nobody wants to be that. So, it's important we learn how to integrate with the rest of the society also once we find our support group. And if you do want to actively spread the word on this lifestyle, then you have to understand that's a full-time job. The way I took it up as a full-time job, you become a content creator, you start an entrepreneurial project, you try to make that entrepreneurial project, go big. Those are professional attempts at trying to spread the word on the lifestyle. And if you are not doing those things, then you don't need to take that kind of professional pressure to, convert others and, figure out how to, change everyone around you. You can be someone who is proactive in your community, as in you can always pitch the idea. Say you're in a society association member and they are, generating ideas on how to make your apartment or your society better. Then you, as someone who's interested in sustainability, can pitch ideas like, hey, we should get a composting system, we should get dry waste recycling. But at the same time, you as an individual can't get frustrated if those ideas don't work out immediately and people are not supportive. You have to look at it from a very analytical, research based approach. Like, okay, why didn't they adopt? What are they looking for? Let me talk to people, let me do a survey. And all of this is work. This is not like I went sustainable today and everyone around me should convert because ethics and emotions. No, it will not work like that. People have like a lot of other concerns in their head before they think about sustainability. So we have to be cognizant of that when we are also promoting all these things.
So I'm curious in your life. So how was the reaction of people, your family and friends? How did that evolve over time? How was in the beginning and now how is it?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, everyone was like, this is too much, you're being too extreme, and all of that was there. And I think in the beginning, I was also very stubborn, which helped. But now I'm not as stubborn. And at the same time, even my family has adopted a lot of these habits after 1 or 2 years of watching me do it on my own and doing it so particularly. Because I was very strict with myself, I think they were very concerned, how can they adjust around me? But they would do whatever they want not when they weren't in my presence. And yeah, I would also be a little frustrated when I didn't see them follow those habits. But then there was a strict boundary in my head that this is my problem and they need to live the way they want to live. And I maintained those boundaries for a long time. Even today, I think if I'm setting up a house, or I might have roommates who don't know how I live, there will be a dustbin at home which they will continue using, but there will also be a compost bin in my balcony. There will also be like a segregation station in, maybe in my space, which I will use personally. I will not force them to use. So maintaining that boundary is very important, because if you want to inspire someone, let them be inspired out of genuine curiosity by watching you, and not because you're forcing them to change a habit and you are becoming an inconvenience to them. And quite naturally, my family and my sister, parents and sister, they picked up on habits that appeal to them the most. So with my sister, she was always very um worried about shopping. She was very worried about, oh, I don't know what to shop, I don't know what to pick for myself. So the idea of shifting to only second hand was kind of suitable for her, because that reduced the amount of overwhelm of shopping for her, you know. With my mom, she was very proud of the fact that I was going plant based, because she has always been begging me to go vegetarian. And so she was very like happy with the fact that dairy was something I was becoming conscious about. And she herself was happily trying vegan recipes, so she could try and incorporate in like festivals and things for me. And she personally also enjoyed kind of exploring vegan options. With my father, it was way more difficult, because he was more like he has himself worked in fossil fuel industry, and for him it's just about economic comfort. We don't care about ethics and this and that. So he has been a much more difficult person to convert, I guess. But I never made the attempt to convert him. And uh, slowly he also started working on some habits, like something basic as not littering and just bringing things back home so that they can be cleaned and segregated, is something he picked up. So I was very proud of him for that. So yeah, that's how they changed on small levels. The My dad, actually, one thing that he was really excited by, I which is a change I made while trying to live sustainably, was taking just public transport. Because he was very big on that all his life, because he always gets a kick out of me, knowing that no matter how old he gets, he still has the physical strength to keep taking public transport all the time. So that was also something that he was excited by. So now whenever he's taking, and he tries to tell us, no, no, see, if my daughter is doing it all the time, I'll also do it. So that is something he picked up, because he liked that aspect of the lifestyle change that I was doing. So yeah, everyone took something they were comfortable with and doubled down on it, I would say.
Yeah, actually, a lot of the elder generation did all of this naturally. It was a part of their lifestyle, but then all this happened, and then we got used to these conveniences, and it's difficult to go back now. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think one major change that really happened with my family was, if there was any doubt they felt that, oh, we need to do this for the society, how will people look at us, or what will they say? Those kind of thought processes eventually stopped, because that is something that really makes us live unsustainably the most. When we buy things out of ego rather than out of need, and we are worried how will people look at us if we stand true to our values, or stand our ground, or why am I wearing the same set of clothes again and again in different weddings, and why am I repeating? So that kind of shame sort of went away for them slowly now. And later on, irrespective of whether their discipline was good or not, that doesn't matter. The fact that they were able to stand their ground and say, no, we are doing this because, did you know it's environment friendly, did you know this harms? That was a huge change for me, which I was really proud of, that they were able to pick up, that they were able to say no to things better as well.
And you Unfiltered with Ullisu series, which you had started last year. So that really struck a chord with me as well. So, like, where you talked about why? Because we are often fearful of saying no, or because we feel we'll be judged. We find it hard to do simple habits like, saying no to disposables.
Hmm.
How do we
Yeah.
deal with that actually? How have you
No, I
worked?
mean, it's a social muscle that you need to build. Most of us are not used to being in a situation where we have to say no for simple things. And the main pressure is, oh my God, I have to explain myself now. And then they will know I'm doing this for this, and then I know they will make fun of me for this. So, that entire conversation is exhausting. So even saying no becomes exhausting. So you just don't do that. You're like, let me not deal with it right now. I don't have the energy to deal with it, which is also fair on some days. But in the beginning, if you're trying to change a habit, it's important that we, kind of put up with that very expected response that we are going to get once we start saying no. Um, and sometimes the response will be positive. It's not necessary everyone will make fun of you. A lot of times, like when you're taking your own bags, sabzi walas appreciate you so much that, thank God, at least you are doing it right. Or, or you can just, I mean, it's better to refuse something if you have the alternative with you ready. I've noticed that. If you refuse something and then you just go without it just because it's being served in disposables, then people will really question your sanity. and they'll be like, why are you depriving yourself just because it comes in disposable? But it's important that you first set your habits of the alternatives, that okay, I carry my dabba with me and that is how I enjoy this pani puri, or I carry my cloth napkin with me and that's why I'm refusing this disposable tissue. It's important that you carry that alternative before you start refusing things. So I think that is a learning that I would give now, because in the beginning I would just say no and I would not even be ready with the alternatives in my bag. So people would just think I'm crazy. So yeah, that what I would really recommend, ki don't say no and make yourself look like someone who's depriving yourself of experiences, because that will raise a very exhausting conversation, and then yeah, you don't want to deal with it. And even if people make fun of you for carrying your reusables, at least you have something to explain at that point, that, hey, I'm not avoiding experiences. I'm just doing it in a better way and in a zero waste way. That's all.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And you just do it naturally, like, okay, here's my dabba, please give me
Hmm.
pani puri. Like,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah.
I just do
Yeah.
it very naturally. That's why I think we also
Yeah. Yeah.
started, me and my friend used when we used to go out from college,
Hmm.
have snacks, we would have this dabba and like it's actually
Yeah.
much more easier to eat in that. It's very
Yeah.
simple.
And also,
Yeah.
you don't need to beat yourself up if you have days you forgot those to carry those things. Just take your order, okay, fine, if that situation arised, and bring back that waste home, maybe instead of throwing it in the dustbin, clean it and put it for recycling. But don't beat yourself up on, oh my God, like I have to do it perfectly. Otherwise, I have set up an image in front of my friends and that needs to be maintained. You don't need to maintain anything. Your habit is your problem and you can go at your pace, and they can say anything they want. That's fine.
Yeah, it's a journey. What are your next steps? What's going on now with Ullisu, and what's your vision for the future? What are you looking at? What are you excited about?
I mean, right now I'm really excited about Wasted360, the organization I'm working at. They have a direct impact on, individuals in cities who want to dispose old items, or, things that are recyclables in a more responsible way, but don't find resources to do that or don't have access to do those things easily. And I'm really excited to see how we can, make that work in Bangalore. We've gone through quite a few struggles in the last 1 year trying to, hold up the fort of the for offline and physical space. We have been thinking maybe we need to pivot to a more online service feature and, scale down a little bit without, letting go of the services that we are offering. But yeah, Ullisu will also remain just online. It is something I want to be able to run while I'm also remotely working out of anywhere. So these are some things that I'm like, trying to do right now. We're pivoting on a lot of ideas that we first thought would work, and now we realized, okay, it's a very niche market right now. It will take time for it to build. So we also need to keep our resources very smartly and use it, in a very scaled down and a smart way. So we're learning a lot from our experience last year, and we're working on those learnings now. Um, Obviously the vision for future is that, with Wasted360 at least, that we reduce the burden on landfills by just creating so much awareness about recycling and, reuse, that, people are able to reduce their resource consumption, reduce their resource wastage also, and, really ramp up on the thrill of thrift and pre-loved and, secondhand shopping. That is something, that is a culture that I really, really want to promote, because um, I think it is a culture that is, people are not picking up purely based on ego, which is nothing practical, nothing to do with, anything. And we can all satisfy so many of our needs by just opting for something secondhand first, and that can hugely cut down on the carbon footprint of consumerism that we are facing today. Which is a culture problem, which is 100% like a culture problem. So, those are things that I really want to ramp up. And yeah, make more relatable content. Probably my content style will also change this year, because I'm myself not living as sustainably as I used to before. It's gotten way more hectic. Schedules are way more crazier. I'm not sitting and making bioenzymes and this and that DIYs like I used to before in the pandemic, when I had a lot of time on my hands. So even my content style is going to change. It's going to cater more to people who are more busy, who probably don't have the time to do every sustainable habit in the under the sun. So that will be my vision for Ullisu, that, any Tom, Dick, and Harry can also pick up sustainability, because even with the most busiest schedule, if I'm able to maintain these habits, it means it's still possible. It's not something I gave up on and just completely flipped.
For Wasted360, I think you had a post where any organization or community could set up a collection center. So could you talk more about
Yeah.
that? How can they
Yeah.
go about that?
Yeah, so basically, we raise awareness on the fact that if you have any old items, dry waste, or recyclables in a clean condition without food contamination, usable or unusable condition, for example, when people tend to donate clothes, they think they can only donate the ones in good condition, but they tend to throw away things which are torn, stained, socks, underwear, those kind of things. People are not aware of the fact that cigarette butts can be recycled. People are not aware of the fact that MLP chips packets, plastics, Tetra packs are also accepted by us. So the goal is, if you are someone who's personally already collecting all this dry waste at home and you have been giving us for drop off, see if you can float that idea by your community, by your apartment or your school, because a lot of people, they might not have the patience to start cleaning their recyclables, but they at least have old items that they don't know what to do with, and they tend to throw that away as well. Suitcases, sofas, I have seen ridiculously huge good items being thrown in, like, dustbins. It's almost like we are turning into America these days, as our living conditions are getting better. The way we are throwing things away is also increasing a lot. So float this idea that if someone wants to get rid of their old items, there is a better way to do it. Spread the word. Conduct a weekend or a week. People need a week's advance or at least a month's advance to start, collecting the things that they want to wrap up, and have a dedicated day where you collect all these things in one premise. Maybe get a permission for the premise wherever you are, and then the day that is all full, you can call our organization, we can book a porter, we can book a pickup for that, and we can make sure that that is managed in a better manner. So we can get that off your hands. And this is basically something anyone can do. If you're in an office, do that for an entire, colleagues and, corporates. If you're in an apartment, you can do it for your apartment waste collection drive. If you're in schools as a teacher, you can do that for your entire, school. And the parents of the kids can also bring those items to the school premise. So this kind of waste collection drive can be conducted almost anywhere, as long as you are willing to like put out that announcement and fix a few dates. It doesn't take a lot for that, because once it's ready, we are here to take it off your hands.
So what happens to these items after that? So how do you process it further?
Yeah, so the usable items, as much as possible, we try to resell them. The unusable items go into textile recycling and into uh, e-waste recycling. We have connections and networks with various recyclers. So we call them. We make sure that the local kabadiwalas and local recyclers all benefit from these waste collection drives, because even they are picking things out of the road and out of dirty places which they shouldn't have to. So for them to come to a collection drive and get all the items in a great condition is a huge benefit for them, and it condition for a waste collector as well. And once all that is done, the things that are in a good condition, we try to resell them online in our thrift store or thrift center. And things that need to be repaired, we try to send it for repairing, or we even donate to NGOs. If there are mattresses, if there are appliances, a lot of people tend to buy them at a very cheap cost, or take it in for free in donations as well. So toys, books, things, those also we try and give for donations if we have too much in excess of it, or we try to resell it. That's what we do with it. So the best is, I mean, we don't want to recycle unless it's the last case scenario. For us, recycling is also like last case scenario. We try and reuse things as much as possible. But if the reuse capacity has also like crossed a certain limit, then we, think about refurbishing, recycling, and, other options.
Any other message for our listeners?
Not sure what city the crowd is for, but yeah, if you are aware of our services and if you'd like to avail them, you can always reach out to us if you have any doubts regarding living sustainably itself. Even if they seem personal or even if they seem stupid, don't hesitate to ask for help or ask for tips, because there's, make use of my 4 years of experience and, how I have transitioned through it as well. I'll be happy to share anecdotes and, share some tips if that can help in any way. I also do like scheduled consultations. So if you want to get like a consultation on some aspect, I have had done consultations for people, personal consultations for people who are moving into a new apartment and, they need resources and help on setting up the entire space in a zero waste way.
So yeah, that's been quite a wonderful journey. And thank you so much for sharing so candidly and honestly about your own journey, your experiences, and how people don't have to feel hopeless or alone, but just uh,
Mhm.
live sustainably naturally. Just go for it
Mhm.
in a playful and spirited way. Could you give a shout out for your handles as well, your website and handles,
Yeah.
so people can stay in touch?
Yeah, so you can reach me on Instagram more easily at ullisu.official, ULLISU.official on Instagram. And our shopping website is ullisu.com, ULLISU.com. For India Wasted services, you can reach us out on Instagram at India Wasted. And if you want to shop pre-loved and thrift items online, then you can follow rebirth.blr. That is our Bangalore page that we'll be going online with all our thrifted items. And we would really, and I really need like more people to follow rebirth.blr, because we were very comfortable with the offline setup before, but now because we are shifting completely online, we will be making all our sales only via that page now. So we are trying to get as much engagement on that page as possible. And yeah, for Wasted360 services and drop-off services, if you want to reach out to us, our phone number, Bangalore phone number is, I think, listed on India Wasted. You can reach out on that WhatsApp number. You can always call us there for any queries on what kind of categories we accept or whether or not we're accepting something in a certain condition. If you have any doubts, you can call us on that number.
Okay, yeah, we'll put all this up on the show notes. So, and I hope people stay in touch with you. You have some wonderful resources to share. And yeah, maybe you could give a shout
Yeah.
out to your package free map and
Yes.
those resources as well.
Yes, I keep forgetting about that map, although that is the map that everyone remembers. We have a package free map as well. So if you're personally someone who's trying to live zero waste and you're discovering shops around you that sell items in a package free way, such that, it's maybe a coffee grounds shop which gives fresh coffee grounds and you can take it in your own dabba, or flour mill, oil mill, or zero waste stores, or repair shops, or things that help you live more sustainably around you. You can pin these resources on the map by sending the contributions of that map on an email ID, volunteer.ulisu@gmail.com. And we will pin those things on the map. And that is basically how, Wasted360 discovered us as well. We had pinned all the recycling companies and, centers on the map. So if someone in Hyderabad is looking for recycling companies that they can drop off to, they will find pins on the map in Hyderabad that they can reach out to and avail. So all the resources are on the map. So if you have the interest to live sustainably, you have access to all the resources that you need on our website.
Yeah, that seems like a really useful community resource, and I hope many more people pitch into it so that it can make it very easier for us to go on this
Yeah.
lifestyle. Yeah. And one last thing. So, do you have any question or a journaling prompt to share so that people who are on this journey towards zero waste lifestyle, they can, reflect, and that can help in their own conviction as well, their own
Mm.
exploration?
Whenever you're using or buying anything, if possible, try and question where does it come from and where does it go. And also question how much value is it adding to your life and how much do you need it. This is, I think, a practice that anyone who has never thought about these things needs to make. If you're someone who's already kind of mindful, you probably don't need to, work on this prompt so much. But yeah, try and think of where do things come from when you want something, when you tell yourself you want this immediately, and think about what will happen to it after you're done using it, because everything we consume, everything we buy is again going out back in the, environment. So how does it impact? Is there a better way you can, instead of throwing it away, what else can you do with it? what is a better solution, so ask yourself these questions, and there are multiple answers usually. It'll take a little time figuring out which is the best option and which is the worst, but get into the habit of just asking the question to begin with, so you learn more about the world around you rather than just your own world. So yeah, that would be my prompt.
Perfect way to sum up this episode and also take it forward in our own lives as well. So thank you so much, Mrudula, for joining us on this show. I'm sure people would feel a lot of relief as well, and some excitement in starting off or sustaining their zero waste journeys. So thank you so much and hope you have a wonderful time ahead. Here's your actionable challenge for the week. Watch your waste. Collect all your dry waste, be it wrappers, packaging, boxes, all of it. Clean it and place it in a bag. After 1 week, take a look at the waste. Reflect on it. Okay, where's my waste actually coming from? And work on the journaling prompt along with this. That will be your first step towards adopting a zero waste mindset. And now that you've collected your dry waste, congratulations, you can send it in for recycling at any kabaddi center or recycling center or second-hand store. We'll provide some links we know in the show notes. So come on, do try this challenge and the journaling prompt and let us know your experience. Connect with us on social media at GoGreenGuruSS or write to us at contact@GoGreenGuru.com. Let's go on this journey together.